my top 3 exercises to help fix plantar fasciitis or heel pain. So if you've been getting no results with potentially massage, foam rolling, anything else, this video is going to break it down very, very simply. So let's get into it. Just make myself a bit smaller. Perfect. So first exercise is going to be this pronation drill. So you're going to set up in this position, staggered stance, barefoot, one foot in front of the other, and all you're going to do to start with, I'll just play this as we go through it, is very gently rock your knee forward and then rock your knee back. And all I want you to do initially is just notice the difference in foot pressure. So when you have a neutral or a negative shin angle, so when your shin is in this position, the pressure should be in your heel, the weight should be in your heel, your weight should be in your heel, and then as you bend your knee and encourage it forward, the weight should go from your heel to the middle of your foot. Okay, so do 5 reps just to understand that. Then what we're going to do is we're going to introduce this idea of an arch being created. So you'll notice, as my shin is in this position, I've got a nice arch in the middle of my foot, and then as I bend my knee, pay attention to the arch will then close and flatten into the floor. So you want to think about this a little bit like an unwinding and winding. So as I come back out, everything comes out, so my shin is back, an arch is created, and then as I bend my knee, everything's closing up. My heel and big toe are trying to stay in contact with the ground the whole time, and really the only thing that should be moving is that arch in the middle of your foot. So again, the arch is open here, and then as I'm bending, the arch is closing. How is this helping your plantar fasciitis or heel pain? Well, it's just getting usually a very, very stiff foot moving and working as it should. When you walk and you run, which is called the gait cycle, our foot needs to be able to transition from pressure in the heel to pressure in the middle of the foot to pressure in your forefoot or toes to lift off when you're walking or running. So this is simply teaching your foot to move as it should be doing, and more than likely, if you've been dealing with plantar fasciitis or heel pain, it will be stiff and it won't be moving like it should be. You can do 1 to 2 sets of this, 15 to 20 reps on each side, and do it daily. It's probably the most effective way to do it because your brain will get used to the movement and your body will start to change quite quickly. So that's exercise number 1. Exercise number 2, kickstand hinge. So what we're looking to do here is get the rest of the lower body involved. Now I've got shoes on here. For plantar fasciitis or heel pain, go barefoot for this. So what you're going to do to set up is you're going to stand on one leg with a slight knee bend, and you're going to have one of your hands over your glute and the other hand coming across the body into your hip crease. You're then going to maintain that knee bend and you're going to get your weight into the middle of your foot, which you'll be familiar from the pronation exercise. Then from here, you're going to put your back foot down as a tripod, so just for support, so balance isn't the limiting factor. Then from here, you're going to hinge. What I mean by hinge is the only thing that's moving is your hips. So your hips are you're going to try almost push your hips back towards the opposite wall while keeping your weight forward. So you'll see what I mean. I'll just pause it in this position here. So you can see in this position, the heel on my front foot is actually off the ground slightly, credit card distance off the floor. I've got a really good stretch on that glute. I can feel that stretching, and my weight is forward. My weight isn't back. So in this bottom position, I'm feeling a really, really big stretch on my glutes, not my hamstrings and not my lower back. If you're feeling it in your hamstrings, your weight is too far back. If you're feeling it in your lower back, more than likely you've hinged too much and you've started to round through your lower back. So again, I'll go through this again. Stand on one leg, small knee bend to get your weight forward into the middle of your foot. You don't lose that. Hand positioning, one hand into hip crease, one hand over the glute, and then you're hinging. Hips back, weight forward, hips back, weight forward. Always think about that in your head. Again, I want your weight to be that far forward that the heel of your front foot comes off the floor. This is not a deadlift or an RDL, so we're not getting the weight into our heels. The weight is into the middle of the foot or even further forward. And then once you get into this position, you are simply going to hold in this bottom position for 20 to 30 seconds for 2 to 3 sets on each side. So we're just really cooking the glutes in this bottom position. Again, if you're not feeling in your glutes, usually your weight is too far back or you've hinged and rounded your back too much, okay? So the only thing that should be moving here to get into this position again is your hips. Why are we doing this exercise? Well, this is essentially connecting your foot to your calves, to your hamstrings, to your glutes. It's lighting up that whole chain in a movement that you need to be doing well, a hip hinge, and it's also improving your hip mobility at the same time. So it's just a really nice way to connect everything up with the foot. Then the final one, again, you can do that kickstand hinge daily after the pronation drill. Final exercise is a foam roller bridge. This is predominantly just to kind of cook the hamstrings and the calves. Okay, so we're going to set up in this position, lying on your back. Again, ideally do this barefoot if you're dealing with plantar fasciitis or heel pain, because it'll just get a bit more foot activation. Feet go flat on the foam roller, knee bend like this. You're going to tuck your pelvis, so you'll notice I'm doing this here, there. So your lower back is flat into the floor, and then you're going to lift your hips a centimetre, half an inch off the floor. And you're simply going to hold this position. So you'll notice my hips are really, really low and my heels are nice and high. So they're not dropping below the level of the foam roller. And you can see straight away, my calves are working really hard, my hamstrings are working really hard. All you're going to do is hold this position for between 45 to 60 seconds for 2 to 3 sets. I wouldn't do this one every day. So the first 2 exercises you can do daily, the pronation and the kickstand hinge, just a couple of sets on each. But this one, because it's going to cook the muscles a bit harder, I would only do it 3 times a week, okay? And yeah, you're simply going to hold this position. Once you can do 45 to 60 seconds on the double leg quite comfortably, then move on to a single leg. Again, I'm demonstrating what not to do here is don't do this and lift your glutes, lift your hips really high to get the glutes and lower back involved. We want to keep everything nice and low. Sorry about that. We want to keep everything nice and low so it is just hamstrings and calves. So again, tuck your pelvis, lower back into the floor. Just make sure you see that. Tuck, lower back into the floor, hips half an inch off the floor, heels nice and high, simply holding this position. So hamstrings, calves on, glutes off. Perfect, lovely. And again, 3 times a week. Once this gets easy, move on to a single leg. Perfect, nice short live stream today. Any questions about that, just let me know. And if you're interested in working with me to fix plantar fasciitis or another injury or pain, just check out the top link down below.